didn't know that. Saskia, what up?
Hello, Neace. How you doing today?
I am super excited, actually, because on this episode of Neace Gets Coached, we are going to do Vayne top, which you are an expert in. And for those who don't know you, why don't you go ahead and give a quick and dirty rundown of yourself and what you do and where you're from and cool stuff like that.
Okay. My name is Tony Chow, also known as Saskio. I am currently 25 years old. I recently graduated with my master's degree in business.
Nice.
Participating in collegiate for 6 years. Won 3 championships. Otherwise, after that, I'm now full-time streaming and just trying to make it in the streaming industry, streaming world.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you more about pro pursuits and collegiate and all that stuff. I think that's for another time, but I am very, very curious about that lifestyle. But today is not that day, my friend. Today is Vayne top day, and before we get into this, I just want to preface this by going, first off, I think I have decent like baseline 80 carry game sense kiting. I think I'm okay. But one thing that's always kind of mystified me a bit, I have the story of Jace. Okay, so I played Jace. I had one account like it probably wasn't even, but like 6 or 9 months ago or something like that. I played Fiora to about Masters Diamond 1, right? And I just played it just in my free time, just messing around. And then I went and tried to play Jace at that elo. And I just started slowly losing. And you know, the whole time I was doing that and I was slowly losing, you know what I thought? I was like, man, I suck at range tops. Right? Like something about the wave management, something about the strategy, all of that. And then once I saw that we were doing this today with Vayne top, I was like, oh, this is so good because I know exactly the type of questions I want to ask. And I have a lot of ideas of things that, like, in my opinion, range tops are super dangerous for most players. And so I'm super excited to have you here. I think what we should start with, though, is probably practice tool. Yeah? Okay. Are you cool with that? I saw you had some highlights, too, so I didn't know if you know. Yeah,
so I actually made a PowerPoint for this.
So okay. Whoa. No. You want to do the PowerPoint first?
Oh yeah, we can go through the PowerPoint first. I can share my screen and we can go
through
let's
do it, dude.
You too, so
I am ready. No. Share your screen. Let's do this let's do this Zoom class style. I'm excited.
Just to give a quick rundown for Vayne for people who don't play the champion. So the thing with Vayne is you want to push your early range advantage. A lot of people, when they hear Vayne, they think, oh, scaling, reach level like 13, reach 2 or 3 items, and then win, right? But that is not the case for Vayne top lane. When you play Vayne top lane, you want to win early game, then win mid game, then win late game. So you want to win essentially at all points because a lot of matchups in top lane, you win. Rather than ADC, you normally get pushed in by a lot of matchups like Caitlyn, Jinx, and Draven. But here, it's the opposite. So you want to switch your mindset and approach it differently when you play top lane.
Makes sense.
So now you're the alpha, essentially.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. Cool.
Yep. And I wanted to give a quick rundown for people who don't really play Vayne for runes and builds, if in case you don't really play the champion. You can just run LT. Don't build PTA, it's bad. You can go Overheal or Triumph. Alacrity is better than Bloodline. You want that early game attack speed. And then you really go Last Stand, Cut Down, or Coup de Grace, depending on the situation. And then you can go Bone Plating and Revitalize, or Conditioning Overgrowth. And there's a lot of variations in those like trees where you can like mix and match. And then you go Offense, Flex, and you can go whatever defense you want. Now the build everyone always asks me about, but the biggest thing is you want to go Berserker Greaves, and you choose between Immortal, Shieldbow, and Kraken. A lot of people ask about that. I just personally like to build whatever the vibes tell me. If Immortal's sticking out that game, I'll go Immortal. If Kraken, I'll go Kraken. Then you go Rage Blade or Blade of the Rune King, and then Titanic, and then Guardian Angel. And then you can mix and match between Blade and Rage Blade depending on which you build first. And I actually made an infographic.
Oh my god.
Here.
I love it.
This is my Vayne top document, by the way. So if you're interested in certain matchups while you're here, like let's say you want to see the Akali matchup, I have runes that you can run, the build, notes to play against her, all the cut down values on the side with the 1 level lead. And all that stuff, assuming you don't. And then the variations of if she goes Dark Steel, Doran's Ring, 1 level.
How long does it take you to make this?
I've worked on this for the past 5 months, and I've worked through every single champion that is likely going to be played top lane. So yeah, Fun fact, the Kled matchup has around 700 HP, so every time you hit him with cut down, you will get 10 damage on Kled, which is pretty crazy because his base HP is pretty high. So as you can see here, the cut down value is 10% level 1 if you hit him with a longsword. So, and if you have a D-blade, it's still really high. So yeah.
Let's just real quick segue, because you said like you played collegiate, you won. You said three championships with collegiate.
Yeah, 3 championships. Yep.
So let's talk real quick about this preparation that you go into. I find that once you make the jump into like when you go real serious and competitive, I find that a lot of the more successful competitive players tend to do a lot of like preparatory work like this. Were you doing that during competition, or was this just something that you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna just do this now?
So during collegiate, I watched a lot of other people prepare stuff similar to this, and I really took a lot of notes off them. So once I dived into the streaming world, I wanted to create something that provided value for people when I streamed, because I feel like now we're talking about streaming, but I feel like in streaming, the most important thing is giving people valuable information that they can use towards their game.
That. If you, I assume you've probably put together that's kind of my life.
Yeah. You coach.
I think it's really funny how you articulated that, because I literally had an interview the other day with it was like a college call I took or whatever. They wanted me in some paper thing, right? Yeah. And one of the questions was like, what do you think is like what do you think makes streamers more successful than others? And I was explaining to them, I was like, I feel like you have to have a willingness to give back.
Yeah.
Right. And I just find it really interesting that that's one of the things that you said. Anyways, I digress. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah. But yeah, continuing on, aside from the document, I created like a Vayne spreadsheet here, just in case anyone wanted a quick rundown. So it was exactly what you just saw, but a little bit more explanation, a couple situational items and builds. But yeah. So yeah, again, main build, Immortal, Rage Blade, Blade of the Rune King. Core triple items on Vayne top lane.
Perfect. Sweet.
Do you have any questions so far?
No, I mean, you're answering all of them without, I don't even have to. I don't have to ask anything.
All right, let's get into the meat. So it's very important that we understand level 1, 2, and 3 laning phase. The reason why is because you can't mess this up. It's very important to make sure you get a 3-wave crash, or if you're getting poked out, to play safe and let the wave push towards you. But I'm going to cover the variations on top lane. So the biggest thing is, top lane has 3 bushes, okay? Bush number 1 is closest to your tower. Bush number 2 is the same for everyone. And then bush number 3 is the opposite bush, right? Okay. The most important thing as Vayne is to try to get into bush number 3, level 1. So after they leash, or if they just walk to lane, you can poke them in this situation, this picture right here. This is what you're the blue top laner. And once they come up, you play within that box, because the mage minions can't hit you. And then you want to just keep poking them, and essentially you're zoning them. And to the point that you're losing CS, but you're getting the EXP. But they're losing CS, the gold and EXP. Does that make sense? So
absolutely. I do this a lot. I do this a lot. Yes.
Yeah, you're still getting levels, but they're not. And obviously, sometimes if they back off too far, you can just snipe a couple CS and then continue zoning until wave 2 comes. And naturally, if you only last hit, you should be able to build a natural 3-wave crash into a suicide dive if you're able to poke them enough, where you just dive them and die too. So then they lose the wave too.
I always call that the Chinese dive.
Yeah, you can call that.
Because the reason why is because the first time I ever watched the Chinese server, I saw it was like high elo, and it's like every single time I watched that on top lane, every single time I saw it was like the 3-wave crash, it always felt like they were just going under, and it was like with them or the junglers, right? And I was like, the gap between China and NA is so massive. I started calling it the fucking Chinese dive.
Yeah.
Don't cancel me. I think you're Chinese, aren't you?
I'm part Chinese.
Okay, don't cancel me for calling it Chinese dive. Okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Don't cancel me, please.
Yeah, right here, I'm doing the exact same thing. And keep in mind, if anyone does decide to watch my stream, I don't do this because I stream with a 1-second delay. So sometimes I'll do it, sometimes I won't. It just really depends on the situation. But yeah, so as you can see, the mage minions are off. He backed off too far and grabbed a couple CS. He lost the melees, and we're continuing his zone. And he just essentially gives up. Wave 2 comes. You can back off into the brush. And then if he walks up, you just poke him again. And if he doesn't, he continues losing XP. And then naturally that goes into the 3-wave dive. In this situation, my Graves is pathing upwards. So we're building up the wave. And then I did like a little 4-wave variation here, which is kind of weird, but yeah. Essentially, you would die, but this guy is smart. He took 0 damage. However, in lower elos, I would assume people might take a lot more poke and give you an opportunity to actually.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this makes sense.
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah, sweet.
Yes, and then naturally it'll go into the 3-wave crash dive, or it'll throw into a 3-wave, just poke them. Or you cheater reset if it's a ranged champion. Or if you know enemy jungler is pathing top and your jungler is pathing down, then you also reset. Unless you want to set up a 1v2 situation where the enemy jungler ganks you, and then you can also kill the enemy jungler in the top laner.
Sweet.
And yep, and that's it for that. Now the most important thing in Vayne top, you probably understand this concept. I call it the tug and pull. I'm not sure what you call it, but it's essentially this. You're a ranged champion, okay? A melee champion decides to run at you. Okay, and then at some point, the melee champion realizes, oh shit, I need to turn around and run away. And now as the ranged champion, you need to realize, oh shit, he turned around. But then a lot of people who play ranged champions, they turn around too late, and now they just then just walks away.
Yeah, they miss
But
value.
if you're able to recognize when your opponent will back off, and then you start turning around to start fighting, then you can now auto them and run them down, especially as Vayne, because you get passive movement speed when you're facing someone and moving towards them, right? So I have a couple examples here. This is like a very crazy, like, this is a very big thing that a lot of new Vayne players struggle with in the top lane. So as you can see here, Jax is a really big champion when it comes to this, because you need to space his E, and then you need to understand when you have to turn around. But sometimes you turn around too quickly, and then that was it. But sometimes you turn around too quickly, and then they're able to just auto you because they understand the game too as a melee champion, right? So that's one example. Let's cover another example.
Yeah, there's a lot of little mind games to this, and I don't think I've called it. I don't know. I don't think I've ever termed that. I normally just call it kiting in general or spacing. But like, there's definitely like mind games associated with it too, right? Like, the better melee players will do a lot of faking, like a lot of little back and forth to try to get you to overstep. At least I play on the melee side a lot more, and it just feels like that's the only way to really get out of that situation is just lots of little mini fakes. I find that most melees that really struggle handling this are, you know, they just lack that understanding of like, okay, I eventually have to fake a bit.
And then right there, if I turned around a slight amount faster, like maybe 2 units, I would have a lot more auto attacks on this guy. But this is a really big game that the faster you understand on Vayne, the better you'll be.
Got it.
And that's really it.
It's good.
Yep. And then I would say there's a lot of human psychology behind it, because you have to realize what that guy's thinking in that moment before he even thinks it. It's like, oh, he's about to turn around because he realizes I've outspaced him. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's really well said. Sweet.
Next up, wave pulling to what I like to call the golden position. So the golden positioning in League of Legends is, I would say, if you're able to like hold the wave right here, or right here.
I agree.
Right. So in this situation, this Garen is doing his 2-wave crash back because I did a 3-wave crash into dive. He's doing his 2-wave bounce back now. He wasn't able to push back the 2-wave bounce back fast enough, so I saw this as an opportunity to pull the wave, see what the enemy melee champion does. I think he just force spaced, and now I have a freeze.
So was this the argument for overheal?
The argument for overheal wasn't for the minion wave. It was for melee champions like Jax, where you just want a slightly extra shield before he even jumps on you. But yes, sure, you can argue overheal is good for wave pulling too. That's like a side thing. That's
yeah. I was just curious. I mean, it seemed like it was. Yeah. It was a factor, but yeah, cool, excellent. Yeah. Cool.
Continuing on with this, yeah, he did the 2-wave bounce back. He crashed. He didn't really crash, but I pulled the wave into the golden positioning, and I froze 7 minions. You just saw it, right?
Yeah.
6 minions on him. So he kind of got fucked. And yeah, can I swear? Sorry.
No, you absolutely can. I swear.
Oh, okay, yeah. And against a lot of melee champions, people don't do this. You just hold the infinite freeze. You tell them, hey, are you gonna walk up? If you walk up, I'm gonna hit you. If you don't walk up, I'm gonna keep freezing. And essentially your job is to keep shaving the wave down enough so that it pushes as slowly as possible, but still pushes towards you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And yeah, and as you can see here, he eventually just bites the bullet and just bases. But the wave does bounce back, but you get the point, right?
No, this was this is a big lead. Yeah, absolutely. You're good.
Infinitely freeze until he does something, or he roams.
He needs to call his jungler to break it.
Yep.
Or something. Yep, sweet. I like it.
Next up, stacked waves. You have to understand each variation. So let's start off with the 2-wave slow crash. So the 2-wave slow crash is.
I am really proud of you, by the way, for doing this.
How come?
Because the whole crashing, like, I've been thinking about making a video explaining this. And the fact that you had, I think, you know what? Remember what I said going into this damn video? I was struggling with range tops.
Yeah.
Right? And this was something that I was like ironing out. It was like planning content on. And it's so nuanced and it's so good that you happen to do it already because, I mean, it totally makes sense. I'm just excited.
You have to on Vayne, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sweet.
Hop right into it. So, very commonly, waves will start stacking here, right? Let's say we're blue side Vayne, and then you just flip it if you're red side.
Okay.
So the 2-wave slow crash is when you only last hit so that the second wave will meet up here. And remember, this assumes the enemy top laner does not touch the wave because they shouldn't because you're ranged. So the first wave starts here. You only last hit, okay? And then now the second wave is here. And then you hard shove the second wave. And what this does is this allows you to crash the wave, but in a safer position, which I'll cover the 2-wave fast crash in a second. So the advantage of the 2-wave slow crash is you're in a safer position if the enemy jungler tries to decide to gank you with the enemy top laner. You're right here. The disadvantage of the 2-wave slow crash is look how far the minion wave has to travel before it actually crashes. So you have to escort the wave in, giving the enemy top laner, if you don't escort it, be able to pull the wave. Exactly like how I did earlier in the golden wave position video, right? So you have to travel with it and make sure it crashes, then back off, then base, then walk all the way back, and that allows them to potentially fast crash the next wave, the third wave, that relative to when you started this 2-wave fast crash. So advantage, less chance of dying to jungle ganks. Disadvantage, longer to crash if the enemy top laner is good, and you might lose the third wave.
This is all making sense to me, dude.
Yep. The 2-wave fast crash. So the 2-wave fast crash is what exact same wave positioning. This is the first wave, but you clear the wave in a certain way where it doesn't meet up here. The second wave meets up over here. So the advantage of this is once you hard shove the second wave, look at the distance, right? It's not that much. It's quick. Boom, into the bush, base. Here's the disadvantage. Enemy jungler can now gank you easier while you're over here. So you have to understand, you have to look at the jungle state and be like, okay, my jungler's on my side. Okay, let's 2-wave fast crash. My jungler's on opposite side. Okay, I need to play a bit safer and 2-wave slow crash here, right? Or you just don't know where the enemy jungler is at all. You probably want a 2-wave slow crash and go from there. Any questions?
Perfect. Nope, this is good.
Next up, the 3-wave crash. This is very standard. Waves here, you purely only last hit.
Yeah, this is what I teach a lot of low elo clients at the baseline. Yep.
And then wave seconds here, wave thirds here, and then you hard shove, and then either you dive because the enemy top laner took poke, or you dive anyways. If somehow the mid laner comes, you can just 3-man dive, full HP, and that'll work too. But the advantage of this is you're building up waves, and you can make a play off it, or just base off it, or hard poke with it, right? Depending on how much. If you have low gold and you just came back to lane on starting on that 3-wave crash, you can just hard poke as Vayne top, right? And the advantage is if enemy jungler ganks you, you can try to turn that gank, right? Because you have a big minion wave, and you can try to outplay it, try to dodge a couple abilities, and go from there. The biggest thing I would say is seeing if you can call your jungler to dive. And surprisingly, I play I guess Smurf Q, Platinum. I will ping my junglers to come if I'm 3-wave crashing, and then if my jungler comes, I'll try to poke down the enemy top laner by 200-300 HP, and then we dive. And then I don't mind dying for it, right? Because if I die for it, but then me or my jungler gets a kill, and the enemy top laner dies and doesn't have TP, he loses 3 waves, right? And it's still worth it.
Yep.
So I will always look for those situations if I can as Vayne. If not, I'll just base if I can't do anything. Any questions about stacked waves? Those are the variations.
this is great. This is great.
And the one thing I don't add in here is you want to do it based on cannon waves. So you want to 2-wave slow crash when there's no cannon waves. So then the third wave that comes is a cannon wave. So hypothetically, if you 2-wave slow crashed and then you back off, and then they fast shove that cannon wave, even if they fast shove it, the cannon is now tanking the tower, and you'll get back in time to catch the cannon. Yeah. So that would take it a step further. The 3-wave 3-wave crash ideally would be starting with a cannon wave, but you can do it starting the wave before the cannon wave. So that's really if you want to be a hardcore tryhard about that, and really do it based off cannon waves. But yeah, that's just the extra step once you figured this out. But yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Yep. Vayne concepts. E flash combo. We've seen this before. Let me pull up Discord here and make sure nothing is showing that's important. I want to pull up this is a very, I would say it's a pretty important concept on Vayne. I think I can pull this on screen. This should be okay. Let me so this is essentially lease an insect. You know how to lease an insect, right? I'm pretty sure you do. This is all you're doing. Condemn, flash. And you see how it's redirected? Yeah, very easy. So it's the exact same thing as lease in. You have to flash pretty quickly once the condemn winds up, and then you should be good. And then obviously bonus points if you dodge something at the same time. You look really good. But yeah.
That looks cool.
Yep. This is a different one that you won't see. It's when you auto a blast plant, and while your auto is in midair, you condemn.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's just watch it. So yeah, right here, I auto a blast plant, and you can see how I'm already winding up the condemn right at the bottom. So then while I'm flying in midair, my condemn. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, I'm not sure when anyone's gonna use that, but it is there. It exists. But yeah,
it's a hilarious play, huh?
Yeah, and then another one that people forget to do is purposely staying invisible for positioning. So some people just go auto Q, like they just go, like keep going invisible, right? But you can alt Q and then move while you're invisible, so that you can get a really good positioning that people won't expect, and then show up, right?
Okay.
Vayne. So that's not. I don't have any videos for that, but
it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
And then basing with the wave pushing towards you. So you will run into this situation as Vayne where wave is pushing towards you, right? Like they're two wave crashing, and then they die. Now as Vayne, what do? Do you try to hard shove the wave, and then now they're able to freeze on you when they come back? Like hypothetically, if they're a good player, right? No. I don't have any video examples of this, but if the wave is pushing towards you and you kill someone, you want to shave the wave enough that it's still pushing towards you, but not too fast. So you're able to get
you
your
need to
base
trim
up,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then run all the way back to lane and still catch the wave. Ideally, they'll come back, they'll push the wave, but then you'll get there just in time to maybe lose one melee, it's fine, and then you catch the rest of the wave. So that is a very important concept on Vayne because you have no wave clear.
Sweet.
0 wave clear. Yep. And I think that should be it. That is my entire PowerPoint. Do you have any questions?
Good job. No, I don't. And I would say, I mean, I guess we go into practice tool. Was there something in particular you wanted to show me in practice tool?
You can do, yeah, you can, I want to watch you do the E flash combo. That's really it. That's like the only big combo.
So there's not a ton of Vayne, is what you're saying. Yeah. There's really not a ton here. Let me see. Where's my Vayne? There. So we said for, we talked sums briefly. I think we briefly touched on sums. I guess we can do it when we get into we can go into the champ select. So it's lethal tempo. Let's see if my memory's good. Lethal tempo, overheal, alacrity, and cut down our coup. And then for this, you said conditioning, overgrowth, or bone plating, unflinching, right?
You can do bone plating, unflinching. You can do all the variations. You can do bone plating, revitalize, bone plating, overgrowth, conditioning, unflinching, etc., right? Like you can mix and match if you want, but yeah. And
you're going attack speed also in offense. All this is standard.
Attack speed, offense, HP, or armor, MR. Depends up to you.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. Sweet. Well, I mean, considering we didn't go into... Oh, I'm not sharing screen. Here.
Yeah.
Considering that we didn't do like a big practice tool segment, it was kind of cool that you had all that presented. That was perfect. I like it. I dig it.
There's only I think 2 things I want to show you in here. So
okay, that's fine.
You can set up a dummy somewhere in the river.
Yeah, let's do E-flash. And what's our standard build again? Remind me. So it's probably gonna be something like this.
Perfect. Blade of the Rune King for top lane Vayne.
Got it. So something like that.
Yeah. That's good. And then Rage Blade. Yeah. If you want.
Then Rage Blade. Sure. We'll just have it for
this
XP.
That's the core build. Boom.
So. Hold on. So it's just literally like. All right, hold on. Let me see this here.
Yeah, get more of a redirection. There you go. Okay.
So it's kind of goofy, but yeah. Oh, that would suck.
Yep.
If you did that in a game, that would be pretty lame.
I do it all the time. Don't worry.
Really?
Yep.
No, but that's. I mean, this one feels really awkward though to me, right off the initial.
It is,
like it just feels.
Because there's a wind up. Yeah.
Well, it's the wind up. It's also the trajectory, right? Like it's not as like telegraph. Like Lee Sen is like you said. It's like obvious. You just do that, right? This is more of a very. Wow.
Yeah, you have to understand the range of how far the condemn pushes. in order to make sure you get this down. But I sometimes still make mistakes. It's not a big deal.
Okay, yeah.
But
It's just the fact that I should at least know what the hell it is I'm doing. Oh, I have no mana.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so clean. Especially if you hit it at range. Like it looks pretty good if you hit it at range.
I would say the biggest thing is making sure after you land the condemn, you're actually in range to still auto. Because if you land the condemn and then you're like, oh shoot, I'm too far away.
Yeah, okay, I
awkward,
see.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really good. Oh, okay, what else do you want to go over?
Auto queue into wall. So this is very common when you're leashing, when you're doing objectives like Baron and Dragon, and very rarely, but you do have to know it, is when you're right beside a wall, you auto and then you queue into the wall, it's faster.
Oh.
So you don't have to finish the queue.
Oh, that's
animation.
wrong, right?
It's just into the wall. Boom. Yeah, do it into the wall and be closer to the wall.
So it's like
you get really close to the wall, like really close. Yep.
Okay.
Auto queue into the wall. There it is.
Interesting.
So this is very important. I would say it's important for leashing and doing Baron and Dragon, especially Baron and Dragon is important so that you can do the objective faster. But again, very rarely in an actual real fight will you use this, but sometimes you will. I've had situations where I've died because I didn't use it.
And you could have, you mean? Yeah.
And I could have because I try not to think too much about it when I'm in a fight. I try to just focus on the fight, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Was there anything else or was that it?
No, I think that should be it.
So Vayne's pretty simple. Actually, it's a standard like auto attack, but the complexity is what you showed, I think, and I totally agree. I don't think it's a gimmick at all. This dude, I'm telling you, I literally was like, this is the next, like one of the next videos I'm gonna make is gonna be talking about these different wave crashes.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's generally for most players, and I think I should probably say this going into this vid, for most players, I think that going beyond like you said, the three wave crash is normally like the standard. Like the standard crash is normally what I teach everybody at the baseline, because most players I coach are low elo, right? And most of them are so low elo that they can't even like understand the just last hit at the last second, right? And you're like teaching them that, but they don't even know that like outside of that, there's all these nuances that like you and I are thinking about that we're trying to use. And that most people aren't even, they're not even at the entry level yet. So I think it's really cool that you made that. That's awesome.
Off of that point of last hitting, I just want to throw in a little nerd fact. There's a difference between last hitting and last hitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's literally what I say to coaching. It's like at the last second. If you go through the coaching vids, it's like, hey, last hit this, and then they hit it at like halfway, right? And I'm like, yo, no, at last second. I love it. I love it.
Like literally 20 HP, like not 90 HP. 90 HP you can still kill it, but kill it at 20 HP. That's like the last hitting. Sometimes you should be able to do that, but yeah.
Nice, dude.
Did you want to talk about summoners?
Yeah, you could do like a quick run. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna go over it once we're in champ select anyways, right?
Yeah, I have a screen. I'll just send you a screenshot.
We can talk about it.
So nowadays, I think you should just run Ignite, Flash Ignite top lane, because it just gives you way more kill
interesting.
pressure. Yeah, I used to run a lot of Ghosts, but I realized in a lot of matchups like Irelia, Fiora, where they just get on top of you, if you just kill them faster than they kill you, you win. You don't have to do some fancy like spacing, like tug and pull game. Just kill them. And especially with a 3-wave crash, you can just suicide dive, right? Obviously, you can suicide if you want. Obviously, try to live if you can, but you can just suicide. They lose the wave. You get the kill, probably first blood, and then you die, and then now you get your reset, and then now you buy.
I love how you view this though. It's so funny. Your solution is so funny, because I think the order went like this for most players, right? Like let me share my. Hold on, I use Epic Pen, because I feel like as top laners we had this order for like range tops. What everybody goes through. Range top players go like this, right? The noobs, hold on, the newbie range tops, they go, okay, cool. I'm gonna go flash teleport, right?
Yeah.
They go flash teleport. What happens? They get shit on. Like, okay, wait, that's not gonna work. Right, and then this is like 1. Then phase 2. I feel like this is where I was at with range tops, which I'm gonna get to why this is why you're high elo with this shit and I'm not, right? It's like phase 2. You go, okay, I'm just gonna go flash ghost, right? And this way, if they go in on me, I can outplay them with the spacing, right? And then like sometimes I can outplay them. So this works okay, right? But then you're like, no, fuck that. Like fuck that kiting shit here. I just really want to win. right? So fuck that. I'm just gonna go flash ignite. And I'd rather just dive them under their fucking tower than have to play this shit right now. And that's coming from somebody like yourself who actually has played Vayne for a while. You still don't even want to do this, even though you know Vayne. That's so funny, man.
I've switched to Flash Ignite now. I'm done with Flash Ghost. Only the Trinity matchup would run Flash Ghost in, but everything else, Flash Ignite all the way.
Interesting. Cool. That's cool that you pointed that out, actually. I also saw you have like Ignite Exhaust and Ignite Cleanse, Flash Cleanse.
So I don't run Flash Cleanse very often. It's very rarely. I rather run Ghost Cleanse. Very good examples of when you should run Ghost Cleanse is against like a Shen top, Volibear jungle, Udyr jungle, Fiddlesticks jungle, Renekton top, Renekton Elise combo. You can run Ghost Cleanse in. The point is you break out of CC, and now you have all this spacing, right? And any CC that happens after that is reduced by 65%. So it's really good into Ryze, Ryze top lane, and Cassio. But you see how the point of that? Like, let's say Shen taunts you, right?
No, I get it. Yeah.
And then you ghost, and now what the hell does he do, right? Nasus W runs towards you, cleanse the W, ghost, Blade of the Rune King stuck him. What does he do? Nothing. He can't do anything.
This is fascinating me. This is fascinating me because I don't think I've ever, because I'm known for playing a lot of Tryndamere top. And I'm like having a moment where I'm wondering if there was ever a time where I could have played cleanse on Tryndamere. You know what I mean? Into this type of shit. Like you said Renekton Elise specifically, which I think is funny because I remember there's so many times. Yeah, you might be able to.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, that's kind of cool. Interesting. I don't think I've ever ran cleanse top ever. And you use this in high elo a bunch?
Yep.
Wow.
High elo every day.
That's so funny. I don't think
People always ping me when I get engaged.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna. You have look. I love how prepared you came today, right? Because like if I went on a strat and I was like, hey guys, I think with Tryndamere, you might be able to get away with like a smite top sometimes because I was fucking around with that. And I was like, there's some lanes where you can cut through the first couple waves and go to the back behind the tower and then invade the jungler. And if you have smite, you can just battle them with the smite. And if you get caught, you at least have the heal and then you're out and you flip the game on its head. But the minute that play goes bad, right? The whole lobby's like, fucking smite.
Yeah. You did the trick. Yes! You did it!
In your honor, dude. In your honor.
You did the trick as well on the first try.
I literally in my head, I was like, this is the time.